Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to this edition of the Pest Geek Podcast. I am Frank the Pest Geek, and we're going to be discussing how we perform our German roach service and how I've been doing it for 9 years. We've been progressively improving this process. And a lot of you have contacted me because you have listened or heard or seen my demo video that I put out on how I actually perform this service in an apartment. And some of you are calling me and says, man, do you really only use bait? Do you really not spray? Do you really not do the things you say you're doing? I says, bro, look at the video. This is what I show. And this is why would you be doing a demo video on how you actually perform the actual service? Won't people not call us anymore and do it? The reality is when you see how much work is actually involved and how much detail and how precise that system is, very few people are actually going to do it themselves, and very few people are actually going to do it right. It's like saying, if you do a video on how to change a ceiling fan, are all electricians going to go out of business and nobody's going to install ceiling fans? No, we've already proven that Home Depot, when they came on the scene, actually created more demand for home improvement, and more contractors expanded and more people are doing the work. The work that we do is highly specialized. The work that we do is for people that, and I'm talking about that we do in our company, is for people that don't want the contamination. We sell a lifestyle brand. What people are trusting us to do is to have a service that's in line with their lifestyle. They're vegetarians, they're vegans, they're going, all the products in their home that they've bought are natural and organic. They want the most natural service possible that can be performed. And what we tell people that we perform is an organic compliant service. If you pull from any organic facility, an NOP for the National Organic Program, and you do for organic facilities, which we do, you will see the protocols. And this is exactly what we do. We bring to the home that same level of facility pest control to customers, and what these customers are buying, they're usually wealthy. I mean, I'm doing $1 million apartments on the beach that have German roaches, okay? These are not just poor people that have German roaches. Anybody who lives in a condo in Florida, we're talking $500,000, $1 million, $3 million, $5 million condos, penthouses with problems. And they're trusting us to solve the problem in an eco-friendly. We use urban IPM, and we specialize in that. So people are calling me, even making comments that I'm lying to people, that this can't be done. And let me give you some background. I just finished for you guys. Let me show you this, because I'm going to go over here and I just finished writing the complete cockroach resource guide. 74 links on this, guys, of the work that I did prior to developing. And some of these are really early, some of these are late. I'm talking about, if you want to know how I got my PhD in German roach control, because I don't own a PhD, I'm not an entomologist, I read all of that material from all these guys. We're talking about Richard Brenner with the USDA. We're talking about Philip Kohler, who's written a ton of articles on, and we're talking about now scientific research articles. This isn't the stuff that you're going to find over at, let me get here so you can actually see me a little better. This is not the stuff that you're finding on Google. This is on Google Scholar. We're talking about Deanie Miller, the legendary Austin Frischman for roach control. We're talking about stuff written by another dozen people, studies from all over the world, anything from gel baits, IGRs, infectious diseases, dealing with them in sewers in Iran. I took the most difficult stuff that's been done around the world, and I say, if this can be done, and I took all those studies and I studied them, and then I put them to the test in the field. But I got a lucky break, because in 2013, we launched this new company, 2014. By 2016, late 2016, 2017, I got a call from a group of doctors that were doing an asthma study in the inner city of Florida, here in Liberty City. And these doctors wanted to know what my process was. These are college professors who actually teach all fields of immunology, and they were doing a study to show that how IPM can reduce the allergens to reduce the asthma in children in the inner city. So they called me, I interviewed with them, I told them my process. I said, look, what we do is very simple. It's real IPM. We're using nothing but bait. We're using IGRs. We're using vacuum. We're using air. We're flushing out. No pyrethroids, no pyrethrums, nothing on the floor, nothing in the air. They loved it. The problem was I had to prove it. So they said, okay, we've got the funding to do a pilot for 6 months. We're going to do 10 units in between all of these other units, severely infested. We're talking services that took us anywhere between 1 hour for some, but as much as 4 hours on an initial for an apartment that is, 2 bathrooms and 3 bedrooms, upstairs and downstairs. And we had to flush with air. We had to vacuum. We couldn't use pyrethroid. We could only use the bait. We could only use our method that we had established in the protocols. Okay. And we did this for about close to 6 months to a little bit close to a year. I personally did the services. I personally implemented the protocols. I personally did the work. And we did 10 units. And they were able to prove through a pilot program in 1 year of doing this. It was almost 9 months that we did the service. We got 100% clean of where we were only seeing in 1 or 2 units. We would go in every month and we would see maybe 10, 15 roaches at the most. But we're talking about units that were so infested, we had to do vacuum in there. Crack and crevice along all the baseboards were completely infested. These are the vinyl baseboards that pull apart, and then you get a million roaches in there. That's the stuff we were dealing with. And we were doing on those busy ones. The secret is that we found is that if we have a light infestation where we're only seeing a couple of dead roaches here and there, we're not really seeing live roaches walking around anywhere. We're basically looking, and yes, underneath the cabinets, we're finding antennas coming out, but not a serious infestation. We will do one service, wait 30 days. If we're pulling a fridge and all of a sudden they're scampering out from behind the fridge, which seems to be the hottest areas, and underneath the sink, and we're open drawers and they're coming out, we're going to come back in 15 days. On those types of units, we were back there on a weekly basis, re-inspecting, rebaiting. Okay. We were able to do it. So they did the preliminary study. They had enough to request from the NIH more funds to do more research, and that took a year. We went back after a year. All the units that we had done were obviously completely reinfested again. This time, we had a big budget to work with, but here was the clincher. They had a budget, big budget, but it wasn't going to be nearly enough to cover doing the complete service for as many units as they wanted to do. We were shooting for 100 units, basically the entire community, and they didn't have the funds. So I said, okay, I want to prove myself, and I'm one of those guys that says, I put my money where my mouth is. And I said, not a problem. How much do you think you can get? And the most they could get was 50 grand. And I said, you're about 100 grand short to get this done. Because it's going to be very, 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 it is. Here's the thing with IPM, inner city, and that I can't blow sunshine up your butt about. It's labor intensive, and it's going to cost 3 to 6 times more easily than the traditional service they have now. For 30 years, they haven't been able to control the roach population in that neighborhood of Liberty City. And we went in and we did it. We did 88 units that we were able to complete. We put our money where their mouth was. We donated the other amount that needed to be done to where it only covered the labor for our techs and the materials. We had to spend most of our day really knocking on doors and getting people convinced to let us in because high crime neighborhood, lots of drug use, the most dirtiest conditions you could think about, we experienced. And that was our major hurdle, is just getting in the door every time we came, because they didn't want us there. We were giving this away. They were getting free roach service. Talk about the issue. And what I deal with a lot of guys on this is, since I have my Christian faith allows me to have sympathy, have empathy, be generous, do whatever I feel with my time and my resources and my money. And my heart broke for these people. A lot of people say, well, they deserve it. They're doing drugs and they live the way they live and they're there for a reason. And you can get into all this judgmental. But the fact is, there's an innocent child that was born into that didn't ask to be born. And now he has asthma. And to tell you the truth, if there were 4 or 5 children in that home, 3 to 4 have asthma. Through the study, they were able to prove that, yes, through the IPM process, in the most challenging environments, we're able to get control. What are we using? We used Advion roach bait. This is what we used. We use Advert, but now we're switching over to the new Doxim system. We used glue boards and monitors like that. And we have, that I don't have with me, the IGR packs that we used. The point source is the IGR that we use. It's expensive. This stuff was expensive. The average cost per unit was about, in materials, was about $9 a visit, because the heavy infested units cost us about $9 in material a visit. The light infested were $9 still a visit, but it was done every 30 days. So we were spending like $40 a month on these expensive ones, plus the labor, that we were paying our technicians, $14, $15, and $16 an hour to do, plus the time that was spent trying to get in and convincing people that we needed to get into their facility or their home to do this process. So when somebody challenges me on the fact that I don't know what I'm talking about, you really don't have context to really debate me on that, because I'm going to debate you. I'm going to take you by the hand. And if you put your money where your mouth is and you'll buy a plane ticket to Miami, I'll take you to those neighborhoods. I'll show you the evidence that we were there, what we were able to accomplish. And then I'll show you how we're doing it. And I'll show you that you're wrong and I'm 100% right. Because I got my PhD and I put my money where my mouth is, to the tune of $100,000, to prove in writing, in a study, that my concept works and that my training works. Why? Because I put in way over 200 to 300 hours of study, year after year after year after year, pulling all of these. Check this out. I mean, this is no joke, guys. When you're talking about a study like this, all right, so we're going to, abating and German roaches managed in public housing. I'm not talking about, all right, I'm not talking about doing a study where it was done in a laboratory. This is a study that was actually done in public housing. Trial after trial of actual field that I read. And then I took down everything that they did, the way they did it, to a T. And then I went out and I still had to spend the next 9 years in development to figure it out, figure out where I went wrong, where I missed it. Should I put the bait 2 feet apart? Does it work better to do 1 foot apart and smaller amount of bait? Where exactly to put the dust, where to stick the IGR. We're talking about extensive research on all of these studies that I did, and I'm giving them to you for free. This is the thing. I said that I would give away my best stuff for free. This is why I'm doing all the videos. Why? Because I sit on the advisory council of my extension service, and the conversation, and when I talk to you guys that are coming on my podcast, with the enormous amount of respect I have for you, because some of you are freaking brilliant. You've got the PhDs to prove it. Here's what you don't know how to do. You don't know how to go to market. and get everyone that wants this stuff to read it, because this is the stuff, like I said, Richard Brenner, Philip Kohler, Pereira in University of Florida, Richardson. All these guys have written excellent material that nobody reads. Why? Because nobody reads books. I keep having this argument with you about you wanting to publish books that nobody's ever going to read, because nobody reads books anymore. Why I'm doing video and why I'm doing audio. When I talk to you guys about doing conferences, well, yeah, you have to be there in person. That's the biggest bunch of baloney that I've ever seen. When I ask you, reality is that's a personal preference. See, I am not biased on how I want you to consume it. If you want to read it, read it. If you want to listen to it, listen to it. If you want to watch it on video. There hasn't been a single CEU conference that I've been through in the last, going on now, 13, 14 years in this pest control business that I've been to that could not have been recorded, done as audio, done as video, and given out, and it would have been just as beneficial because they're all lectures. Lectures are not training. Training is taking somebody by the hand, going out in the field with them, spending the next month, 13 weeks, going out into that field, which is what I'm planning to do with a couple of companies down here, and showing them how it actually done in the field and watching their face light up when they get the results. Like some guys are getting that are giving me the feedback says, I did what you told me and it was phenomenal. Best result I've ever gotten. See, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. So when you're telling me that I have to be in a classroom to get a lecture, you're wanting me as a captive audience. But it's not necessary. All CEUs are 50, 55-minute lectures. They can all be recorded and given out. The information, if the information is really earth-shattering and really game-changing, then it should be available. And what you're doing is I talk and I sit around a round table with, I'm the only guy, with a bachelor's degree, barely made it. And these guys have doctorates and PhDs, multiple PhDs, and they're not getting the fact that when they look up some stuff, go look up mango treatments in Florida. My blog is the number one on Google for that. You know where I got the information? I got the information from you. And I took your material and I rewrote it in a way and I SEO'd it to the kilt and it ranks above the university sites. What I'm trying to get you to understand on both sides is that the information these guys, this is invaluable. If you take these 74 studies and you read them, you're saying, but Frank, can't you just tell me what products you use? I already told you this, and point source. And you will still say, yeah, but I don't think it can be done. Read the studies and convince yourself of this fact that I took this information, I read it, I digested it. I was after study, after study, after study, after study, after study, after study, after study. And then I had to go out in the field and implement it and prove it right. Because my goal is, okay, it says it can be done. You did it already, but I have to do it. And here's where everyone is missing it. Where you as a technician who doesn't believe this, I had one guy tell me, but I've always been told you bait hide and you spray low. I say, don't spray at all. And you get it done. Yeah, but I don't think it can be done. What makes you think? I'm telling you, dude, you're calling me for the information. I'm telling you in 60 words how to get this done. And you're still telling me you can't. Why? You don't have the confidence that I have. You don't have the experience that I have. You don't have the expertise that I have. You don't have the knowledge in my head that I've acquired. I don't need to go to college, get a PhD or get a degree in entomology to be able to read this material, get the education, which is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the degree. I'm not looking for the affirmation. I'm looking for the information that's solid so that I can implement in the field, so I can make a protocol, because I am the director here of what gets done in the field, you see, and create these programs. But you're not willing to read the information. And here's my experience in dealing with people in the church. We used to have in the church where I used to be at, we had a Bible college, and people would come from all churches. And basically, argue that what we were teaching could not be right, yet there they were. Because they never studied it for themselves. Here's the comment out of their mouth. My pastor said, my church says, my denomination says. I say, what did you say? And what does scripture say? I don't know. That's it. You don't know what the studies say, but you will argue with me about it. You don't know what I've studied, what I've learned. A lot of the people that I talk to, when I sit down and have a serious conversation off the record, they're like, how do you have the time to read all this? It says, if I'm going to be the world's foremost authority on pest control and be plastered everywhere, which is my goal in the next 10 to 15 years, and have more videos, more content, more information about any pest, take this information, digest it, and give it out to people in a way they can consume it. And you don't get that. That's my job. This is my calling now in life. This has been eco-friendly pest control, and doing IPM has been a consuming passion for the last 12 to 13 years, where it's been a devotion of mine, where I've invested the 10,000 hours to do it. And I have done close to 3,000 roach services, proving it can be done. And I have that experience under my belt, and you're insecure because you've been told, but you didn't verify it. You haven't done the studies. You haven't paid the price in the field to get the results, to make that judgment, because you used bait once and because you sprayed a pyrethro, you messed that up. And now baits don't work. Baits don't work in full of grease environments. Neither do pyrethroids, by the way. I'll challenge you on that. The moment you put a pyrethroid down and oil gets on it, it's covered. It's done in a restaurant environment. So what I'm trying to teach you, and what I'm trying to teach people, those that will listen, who will try to prove me wrong, try to prove me wrong. Don't tell me that I'm wrong. Don't tell me that it can't be done. Don't tell me that it's not possible, because I already have proven to myself and my customers and my technicians that it can be done. And every time I go out into the field, they miss something. Guaranteed. The bait wasn't there, because here's the beauty of this process. You can see the point source station there. You can see where the gel bait has been placed in most places, because there's still some residue left. You can see the monitors and the roach population going down. It is verifiable, the process. You can't verify when you told me you sprayed something in a corner in a crack and crevice. Did you get every crack and crevice? I doubt it. I don't have to know where the insect lives. You know, I have to know what to do at what situation. Oh, but you're going to get, bait avertment with all that oil and all that product and everything in that kitchen. I said, it hasn't happened yet. You got to understand where gels have come from since combat, since Austin Frischman developed combat. The bait matrices have gotten so darn good that they can compete head to head with anything in that kitchen. The IGR volatilizes and goes everywhere that you can't. The dust bait gives you 15% at best, but it's going to give you another bait matrix that they might not take. With this now, we should see a huge improvement. But in 30 days, given our protocols, whether we have to go back weekly, every 2 weeks, or in 30 days, we're going to get 95 to 98% control in 30 days with our process, with zero spray. I'm giving you the process. I'm letting you have it for free. And some of you I'm giving you every study. You won't read the study. You'll argue with me. You won't do it. You won't put me to the test, and you'll still argue with me that can be done. You know why? Because you're afraid. You're not willing to put in the hours to re-educate yourself. A lot of the things that you've been taught were good 20 years ago. We're still probably valid 10 years. Today, that 20-year-old technology you're using, it's no longer valid. You're still wanting to do it because why? You're getting up in age. You're in your 60s. You're in your 50s. You're set in your ways. You don't want another way of doing it. You don't want to go after, says, well, those people that don't want chemicals are chemophobes and they're nuts anyway. No, they're not. They're millennials, which happens to be the largest population right now, the largest segment of population, because the boomers are going to die pretty soon and they're not going to have pesticide in their homes. And us Gen Xers are getting up in age, and our boomer kids are starting to say, we don't want pesticides in the home. And unless you're changing your methodology, unless you're changing what you do and how to reach that audience and how to be eco-friendly, I'm not talking about spraying Essentia oil for German roaches. That will never work. I'm talking about being organic compliant, being facilities IPM compliant, and bringing that technology to the home in with real technicians that understand that technology. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So if you've seen my video, this video here, let me show you. It's actually, I lost my, here we go. This video here right now just went up. It's got 27,000 views on it. More technicians are watching this video than residents, I think, because I get more calls from technicians on this and more comments. That's me. You know, I'm being my wacky self. I actually do have fun doing this, guys. You don't understand this for me, guys, is a consuming passion. It's something that I have a devotion for, that for the next 10 to 20 years, I'm looking at giving away my academy to thousands of people. Why? Because unlike other people that are trying to monetize this, everybody keeps saying, when are you going to monetize? When are you going to monetize? You know, I'll monetize it in a certain way for great content. But a lot of the stuff that's being put out there, quite frankly, is junk. You're not training anybody. You're not really helping. You're just stringing people along in a program. I'm going to give you real information. Why? Because I've done it for the last 6 years. I got a record. I got a track record. In the next 6 years, what's coming ahead is my journey of how I grow my company. You've seen me gone from 0 to 2 technicians in 6 years. I've done it slowly. It takes a lot to do it this way. I'm going to give away even more. I'm going to give everything I have to everyone. It's out there. You want to consume it on my Nature Pest channel. You want to consume it on Pest Geek Podcast. However it is you want to consume it. No, but you're giving away our secrets. You know, dude, the secrets are all out there. People are not going to read it. People are lazy. They're still not going to do it even if I tell them all the steps. That's what you got to understand. We live in an age of transparency. We live in an age where we tell people exactly what products we're using, where we're applying them, how we're doing it, so that they feel confident that they're buying the best service. You see, and those customers that are going to buy it, you know, I shouldn't have to worry about the single mother who is taking care of her 2 kids because dad is the deadbeat and she's working and she has to choose between a pest control guy at $235, which we charge for doing these services, to $300, or choose milk and food for her kids. She should never have to choose. So the fact that I'm generous with my information, the fact that I'm generous with what I do, the fact that I have a long-term vision for what I'm doing, the fact that I'm training technicians that work for large brands who've been tossed on the street after 40 hours of shadowing and they don't know and nobody's trained them, that's the guy I have compassion for. So if you take this so personally that you are against it because I'm giving away all my secrets, basically you need to stick your head in the sand like an ostrich because there's more to come. So we're going to be like really, really upping our A game on this. That is available. I just finished publishing, by the way, another podcast. I'm going to show you real quick right here. Let me show you here. And have to arrange this. If you go here to my blog, by the way, I'm putting a lot of resources on my blog. I'm going to put up our IPM for businesses. Did I put it up yet? No, it hasn't. It hasn't gone up yet. Okay, I thought it did. But we're going to be putting our form that we use. I'm going to put a lot of resources for free. Some of the stuff we used to use that now it's on software, but you can get the idea on how to do an IPM inspection, how to do a facilities IPM. I'm going to be putting up our protocols for doing real IPM facilities, which we do organic facilities. The process that we do, these are certified organic facilities where we got to fill out reports. They're like AIG facilities, but for organic. And if we're going to use a product other than this in the protocols, established by them. We need to get written permission before we can do it. So this is real serious stuff, guys, that we're getting into. And I one day we've been dreaming about doing a documentary of the work we did in that town, in that city, and doing an actual documentary, going back in, doing it again, showing you the problems, showing you the devastation, showing you the heartache. I mean, this is stuff that we saw there that will make you cry. Stuff that breaks your heart, stuff that should not be happening in America, especially in government housing, where IPM is supposed to be the standard because it's a government, it's the same as a government facility. It falls under the FIFRA Act. It falls under not the FIFRA Act. I forgot now the other act that implements that under FIFRA, that all government buildings must use IPM. And yet it isn't being done as the standard because we don't have the money. We have the richest country in the world with all the resources, all the money. We have, I think, more billionaires. I think there's over 400 billionaires in this country that 1% control the 99% of the money. And somehow we can't get this done. And this is the stuff I'm going after. So I'm educating everybody so that as many people can get it done. I'm encouraging you to donate what you can donate. I'm encouraging you to step out in faith and do some of these things. This is my encouragement to you that this is proven for the last 20 years. And the products just keep getting better to where there is no real need for indoor spraying at all for most of these problems. German roach, American roach, silverfish. There really is no need for indoor spraying to control this. The fact that the older clients want it, that the older clients don't understand this, the fact that they don't understand bioaccumulation in the home, that it's perfectly safe, that people say it's perfectly safe once it's sprayed. My label doesn't say it's perfectly safe. Neither does the EPA. It's like, we're bombarded with chemicals around us. I'm carrying chemicals in my vehicle. We carry over 16 different products. And we have to be judicious on how we use it. So I'm challenging you guys on this. I'll challenge you to take my challenge on and prove me wrong. But I bet you won't be able to if you follow my process. This is Frank the Pesky, wishing you a pestacular day.